Ever wonder what it is about certain mysteries that stick with us, for centuries? It's not just about someone going missing, it's the lack of any kind of answer, the wondering what really happened.
It's like a puzzle with some pieces missing.
Exactly. And today, we're diving deep into some of history's most intriguing disappearances. And we're not just going to rehash the stories.
Right.
We're trying to figure out what makes them so captivating, what makes them stick around in our minds. Because these aren't just stories, these were real people.
Real lives lived and then gone.
Poof, like they were never here.
It's the unknown that really gets to people, I think.
Absolutely. And speaking of unknowns, let's start with a ruler who seemed to specialize in them. Al-Hakim, the caliph who ruled Egypt back in the 10th and 11th centuries.
Oh, this one's a classic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, picture this. The guy makes a law saying women can't leave their homes. Okay, controlling, we get it.
It was a different time.
True. But then he also bans cobblers from making women's shoes.
Like, what's the point, right?
I know. It's like, pick a lane, dude. Either way, you can see this guy was, let's just say, a bit unpredictable.
You could say that again. But actually, erratic behavior like that, while unusual, it wasn't completely unheard of for rulers dealing with the pressures back then.
Okay, so maybe a little paranoia came with the crown.
Maybe. But what is truly remarkable is how Al-Hakim disappeared. One night, 1021 AD, he rides out of Cairo, never be seen again.
Just like that.
Gone. Nobody, no ransom note, no cryptic messages left behind. Just poof.
You'd think a ruler, even back then, would have people noticing if he just walked off the job.
You'd think. Which is what makes his case so enduring. It's the ultimate cold case. Did he plan it? Was there some palace intrigue we don't know about? We're left with more questions than answers.
And that's what keeps it interesting all these centuries later. All right, from a disappearing ruler to, disappearing rulers, our next deep dive takes us to 15th century England. We're talking about the princes in the Tower, Edward V and his little bro, Richard.
Ah, yes. A tale steeped in royal intrigue.
Oh yeah, imagine being 12 years old, King of England.
Living the dream.
Right, but then bam! You're locked up in the Tower of London. Talk about a childhood trauma.
And that's the last anyone reliably solved them.
Okay, so we've got a locked tower, missing princes. Sounds like someone was playing a very high-stakes Game of Thrones.
It was a time of immense power struggles in England. When Edward IV, the boy's father, died, his brother Richard, Duke of Gloucester, was named Lord Protector. But
there's always a but.
There were whispers, rumors about the legitimacy of Edward IV's marriage to the boy's mother. This cast a huge shadow over their claim to the throne.
So basically family drama fit for a Shakespearean tragedy.
Exactly. And Richard III, being the ambitious guy he was, saw an opportunity. He declared the princes illegitimate, locked them in the tower, and boom, King Richard III.
Talk about ruthless ambition. But did he actually have them killed?
Most historians believe he did. It's the most logical explanation. Centuries later, skeletons were found buried within the tower. They're thought to be the missing princes.
Wow, talk about a cold case, literally.
Right. But there's still no hard proof. And that lack of definitive proof, it keeps the mystery alive. Did someone else benefit from their disappearance? It's a story that reminds us how those in power can shape history.
And sometimes erase it entirely. Okay, from the stone walls of the Tower of London, we're hopping across the pond to the shores of 16th century America. We're diving into the mystery of the lost colony of Roanoke.
This one's always fascinating.
Picture this. You've got this group of brave souls leaving everything they know to start fresh in this new world.
The voyage alone was incredibly dangerous.
Oh, absolutely. But they make it, they land, they build houses, plant crops. They're actually making a go of it, and then they're just gone.
Vanished.
The only clue, the word Croatoan carved into a fence post. What happened to the Roanoke colonists?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, we've got disease, starvation, maybe even a conflict with local tribes, or did they join the Croatoans, as the carving suggests?
Some folks think they tried to sail back to England and got lost at sea.
So many possibilities, and with so little to go on, it really makes you realize how much we don't know about the past.
It's a stark reminder of just how tough it was for those early colonists. Dangerous voyages, unfamiliar land, disease, starvation. They faced it all.
And in the case of Roanoke, something they couldn't survive. Or maybe something they chose not to. What if that carving was a message, not a warning?
It's possible they assimilated with the Croatoan. Maybe they found a way to live alongside their native neighbors.
A more hopeful ending than most disappearances, that's for sure. Okay, shifting gears a bit now, but sticking with the theme of untold stories. We're going to 19th century America. Solomon Northup. Ever heard of him?
12 years a slave, right?
Exactly. Kidnapped, sold into slavery, the whole horrifying ordeal. But he wrote about it, lived to tell the tale.
His book is brutal.
Yeah.
It really lays bare the cruelty of slavery in pre-Civil War America.
Must read for sure. But here's the thing. Northup escapes, his story gets out there, he's even helping the abolitionist movement, and then nothing.
He disappears from the public record, vanishes again.
It's like just when he gets his freedom, when his story's finally being told, silence.
Some folks think he went underground, continued his work more secretly to stay safe.
Makes sense. Once you've escaped that kind of horror, you wouldn't want to risk going back.
Others believe he just wanted to live out his days in peace.
Can't blame him for that either. All right, from a man who vanished from the shadows to one who seemed to embrace them, Ambrose Bierce, master of words, king of cynicism.
Bierce, oh, he's great. Dark, cynical, but brilliant.
And guess what? The guy disappears too.
No kidding. I didn't know he was a real-life mystery, just the mystery writer kind.
Life imitating art, right. Bierce, he's this well-known journalist, author, you name it, and his writing, it's full of this macabre stuff. Death, war, disappearances, it's almost eerie.
Foreshadowing, maybe?
Maybe. So 1913 rolls around, Bierce is getting up there in years, and he decides to go to Mexico.
Mexico, what for?
Well, the Mexican Revolution is in full swing, and Bierce, he's always been drawn to danger, to the darker side of humanity. So he goes down there, sends a few letters back, and then silence.
Just like that.
Just like that. Vanished. Some say he died in some battle we don't know about. Others think he planned the whole thing, wanted to disappear on his own terms.
To become one of his own stories.
Exactly. It's a disappearance worthy of one of his tales. Speaking of grand disappearances, let's climb to new heights. Literally. Mount Everest.
Oh man, Everest, the ultimate challenge. Even today, it's incredibly dangerous.
And back in the early 1900s, forget about it. No fancy gear, no reliable maps. You were basically climbing blindfolded with a toothpick.
Pretty much, but it's that challenge, that allure of the unknown that drew people like George Mallory.
Mallory, the because it's their guy.
That's the one. Tried to conquer Everest 3 times.
3. Talk about determination.
Sadly, it was his last attempt that made him a legend. 1924, Mallory and his climbing buddy, Andrew Irvine, they set out for the summit. And that's the last anyone saw of them.
Wait, so we don't know if they made it to the top?
That's the big mystery. For decades, people wondered. Did they reach the summit? Did they achieve their goal, only to be claimed by the mountain on the way down?
The suspense is killing me.
Well, in 1999, Mallory's body was found, frozen on the mountainside.
So they found him, but did he make it to the top?
That's still a mystery. The discovery didn't give us a definitive answer. But it keeps that debate alive, you know. What were Mallory's last moments like? Did he reach the summit? It's the not knowing that keeps us hooked.
From a frozen mountaintop to the streets of 1930s America, our next deep dive takes us into the world of religion and the enigmatic founder of the Nation of Islam, Wallace D. Fard Muhammad.
Fard is a fascinating figure. He emerges in Detroit during this incredibly turbulent time, preaching a message of black empowerment and self-reliance.
A message that clearly resonated, given the Nation of Islam's lasting influence. But here's the thing that gets me. We know so little about the man himself. It's like trying to piece together a puzzle with half the pieces missing.
Exactly. His early life is shrouded in mystery. There were all these conflicting accounts of his birth, his background, everything. Some say he was born in Mecca. Others claim he was from right here in the U.S. Even the FBI tried to figure it out, and they came up empty-handed.
Talk about an enigma, wrapped in a riddle, wrapped in that... Well, you get the idea. And as if his origins weren't mysterious enough, in 1934, poof, he vanishes.
Gone. It's almost as if he wanted to become this mythical figure. And, you know, it worked. His followers saw his disappearance as a kind of divine act.
Talk about leaving an impact. Okay, from the world of faith and mystery, we're diving into a story that really highlights the power of one person to make a difference, even in the darkest of times. Raoul Wallenberg. Swedish diplomat, unlikely hero, and, you guessed it, another vanishing act.
Wallenberg's story is incredible. We're talking about World War II, the Holocaust. Wallenberg, he's in Hungary, using his position to save Hungarian Jews from the Nazis.
Seriously, like how?
Protective passports, safe houses, you name it. He even went head-to-head with Nazi officials, trying to stall, obstruct anything to save lives.
Absolutely, a true hero. He saved thousands of people. But his story, well, doesn't have a happy ending. 1945, the war is ending, and Wallenberg is arrested by the Soviets. accused of being a spy.
Don't leave me hanging. And that's it. He just disappears. Gone. The Soviets claimed he died in prison, but there were rumors, conflicting accounts, whispers that he might have been alive, imprisoned somewhere for years.
So another mystery for the history books.
Pretty much. The truth about Wallenberg's fate might be lost to time. Okay, ready for our final deep dive.
Hit me with it.
Let's bring it back home to America.
This one's a little more grounded. We're talking about unions, organized crime, and a whole lot of concrete.
Okay, this is intriguing already. Tell me more.
Jimmy Hoffa. Ever heard of him?
The Teamsters guy.
That's the one. Head of the Teamsters Union, one of the most powerful labor leaders in American history.
And didn't he disappear too?
You see. You've heard the stories.
Oh, yeah. Hoffa's story was hard to miss. Even back then, it was everywhere. Well, Hoffa was a complicated figure. A tough negotiator, fought hard for his union, but...
There's that but again.
He was also connected to organized crime.
Yeah.
Deeply. Yeah. Which makes his disappearance all the more intriguing.
So what happened? Give me the rundown.
July 30th, 1975. Hoffa goes to meet someone at a restaurant parking lot.
Sounds shady already.
Right. And that's the last anyone saw of him. Poof. Gone.
Talk about a mystery for the ages. Did the mob do him in?
That's the prevailing theory. But with Hoffa, you never know. Maybe he staged the whole thing.
It makes you wonder how many more mysteries are hiding out there in history, right? You know, from vanished rulers to lost colonies, from heroes to enigmas, we've covered a lot of ground today.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? The past is full of these unanswered questions. It's almost like looking at a tapestry, but with some of the threads pulled loose, we get glimpses of what might have been. But the full picture remains elusive.
I like that. And maybe that's what keeps these stories alive, you know? The mystery, the speculation, the sheer human drama of it all. It's a good reminder that we don't have all the answers. And sometimes, the best we can do is just keep asking the questions. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into history's most intriguing disappearances. Until next time, keep exploring.
Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe the channel. Please share your feedbacks and thoughts through comments.